Have you noticed something strange? You sit down to study. You're tired, distracted. Your brain doesn't want to cooperate. But the moment you put on music, suddenly things feel easier. Your focus improves. Time moves faster. Studying feels less painful. But here's the confusing part. Science says music should distract you. So why does it actually help? Let's break it down. First, you need to understand one thing. Your brain hates effort. Studying requires sustained attention, memory formation, delayed reward, and your brain would rather do anything else. From an evolutionary standpoint, your brain is wired to conserve energy. So when you open a textbook, your brain interprets it as mental stress. That stress creates discomfort, and that's where music enters the picture. Music doesn't help you study by making you smarter. It helps by reducing discomfort. Here's how. When you listen to music you enjoy, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is not just a pleasure chemical, it's a motivation signal. It tells your brain, this activity is safe, this activity is rewarding. So when music plays in the background, it masks the mental pain of studying. The task doesn't change, your perception of the task does. That's why studying with music feels easier, even though you're doing the same work. Now here's something fascinating. Your brain doesn't focus best in silence. Complete silence actually makes your brain hyper-aware. Every small thought becomes louder. Every distraction feels stronger. Researchers call this the optimal noise level. A moderate amount of background sound occupies part of your attention, prevents overthinking, reduces mental wandering. Music acts like a cognitive shield. It blocks intrusive thoughts without demanding your full attention. That's why people often focus better with music than in total silence. But here's the catch. Not all music helps. Lyrics compete with language processing. If you're reading, writing, memorizing words, your brain struggles when lyrics are present, because your brain can't process two language streams at once. That's why instrumental music, lo-fi, ambient sounds work better for studying. They stimulate emotion without hijacking comprehension. In simple terms, music should fill the background, not take center stage. There's one more important truth. Music helps you start studying, but relying on it too much can backfire. If your brain learns, I can only focus with music, then silence becomes uncomfortable again. The smartest approach? Use music as a tool, not a dependency. Start with music, then slowly lower the volume. Let your brain take over. So why does music make studying easier? Not because it boosts intelligence, but because it reduces mental pain, regulates dopamine, blocks distractions, creates emotional safety. Studying isn't about forcing focus, it's about removing resistance. And sometimes a simple background sound is enough to trick your brain into cooperating. If this made sense to you, you'll enjoy the next video where I explain how your phone is training your brain to hate focus. Subscribe if you want to understand your mind instead of fighting it.